Most people don't think twice when they wake up in the middle of the night. They assume it's stress, a full bladder, or just bad sleep. They sigh, shift positions, and try to force themselves back into unconsciousness. But what if I told you that waking up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. isn't just a random biological event? What if that moment when everything is dark, when the world is silent and your body stirs without warning, is not a mistake at all? What if it's a message? Because here's something few people realize. The body and mind are deeply intelligent. We're not machines with random malfunctions. We're systems that speak to us through rhythm, sensation, and instinct. When your eyes open at 3:27 IMU and your thoughts feel louder than usual, that's not just insomnia, that's insight. Knocking is life tapping you on the shoulder, and how you respond makes all the difference. You see, we're so quick to label every disruption as a problem. If it doesn't fit the schedule, if it feels inconvenient, we dismiss it. But some of life's most important wake-up calls come in the form of, well, wake-ups. And the earlier they come, the more personal they are. Waking between 3 and 5 in the morning has long been considered by many cultures, thinkers, and even scientists as a window of deep mental and spiritual awareness. It's the time when your conscious mind hasn't fully taken over yet. Your ego is quiet, your defenses are down. What remains is the core of who you are. And in that quiet space, your truth begins to rise. But most people miss it because they never slow down long enough to ask themselves, why now? Let me tell you, your body knows when you need rest, and it also knows when you've rested long enough. Sometimes waking up early isn't about being disturbed by something external. It's about being stirred by something internal, something unresolved, something you've been avoiding, or maybe something ready to be born in your life. Maybe it's that vision you've been putting off, that dream you told yourself you'd start when things calm down. Maybe it's a relationship that needs your honesty, a pattern that needs to be broken, or maybe it's your future self calling you into action, asking you to become more than you've been willing to be. Because between 3 and 5 a.m. the world is silent, but your inner world is not. And in that silence there's opportunity. There's space to hear what you've been too busy to notice. There's room to feel what you've been too numb to process. There's clarity, not because everything suddenly makes sense, but because you're finally quiet enough to listen. This isn't about mysticism, it's about presence. Think about how your typical day goes. Alarms, obligations, texts, emails, responsibilities. You're pulled in 20 different directions before you've even had your coffee. There's no space to reflect. There's no space to feel. You're reacting before you've even chosen how you want to show up. That's not living. That's surviving. But when you wake early, especially without planning to, that moment gives you power. You're ahead of the noise. You're ahead of the expectations. It's the one time in your day when you don't belong to anyone else. You don't belong to the company, the deadlines, the errands, the traffic, or even the notifications. You belong to yourself, and the question becomes, what will you do with that sacred hour? Some people will roll over, they'll miss the moment, they'll slip back into sleep and delay their growth. But the few who choose to sit up, to breathe, to become curious about why they're awake, those are the ones who begin to access a deeper kind of wisdom. Because early waking is not a glitch in the system, it's a message. And messages don't repeat themselves forever. Ignore them too long and they stop coming. But when you learn to listen, truly listen, everything starts to shift. That stirring at 3:42 a.m., it could be the first chapter of a new you. That moment of clarity when everyone else is dreaming, it might be the very beginning of your real life. And once you start treating those early hours not as interruptions but as instructions, your life starts to move with a different kind of momentum, not forced, not rushed, but guided. You stop waiting for signs and realize you've already been getting them. Every time you opened your eyes in the dark, something was trying to get through. Not to disrupt you, but to awaken you. When you find yourself awake between 3 and 5 in the morning, you are not just awake. You're alone with something most people never get to feel: true stillness. Not the quiet you force when you wear headphones to block the world out, not the kind of silence you stumble into when you're exhausted from the day, but a deeper kind of stillness. One that holds answers, one that holds direction. Most people are afraid of silence, afraid of what they might hear when the world stops talking. Because when all the noise is gone, there's nowhere to hide. And maybe that's why most people never really find themselves. They're always running from the quiet. But stillness, real stillness, is where everything begins. It's in those early morning hours when your mind isn't cluttered with demands and distractions. You're not worried about who texted you, what meeting is coming up, or what you forgot to do yesterday. In that space, your thoughts are clean, your emotions are honest, and your intuition, your gut feeling, rises without resistance. You don't have to search for direction. You simply have to listen. You see, the world teaches us that clarity comes from information. Read more, do more, ask more, research more, but clarity isn't about adding, it's about removing noise, removing comparison, removing the pressure to have it all figured out. Clarity doesn't shout, it whispers. And it does so in the quiet hours of the morning, when your heart is still open and your mind hasn't been hijacked by the day. People who move through life with clarity don't always know more. They're just more in tune with less. They've learned to sit with themselves long enough to separate truth from fear, vision from fantasy, wisdom from noise. And that stillness between 3 and 5 a.m., that's not wasted time. That's prime time. That's the hour when clarity knocks. But let's get something straight. This hour isn't for everyone. It's not for the casually curious. It's not for those just looking for quick answers or motivation that lasts an afternoon. This hour is sacred. It's reserved for the ready. And not everyone is ready. That's why not everyone hears the call. If you've been stirred out of sleep during those hours, it means something. It means life is trying to put something in you: perspective, discipline, healing, maybe even vision. But it can only do that if you show up for it. Not everyone is chosen to carry a bigger purpose, and not everyone who is chosen accepts the responsibility. So when you wake early and feel that restless energy, that tug on your mind that won't let you slip back into sleep, don't ignore it. That's not random, that's readiness. That's life asking you, are you finally ready to face what you've been avoiding? Are you ready to become who you said you wanted to be? You see, there are two kinds of pain in life: the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. And this hour gives you a choice between the two. You can use it to get honest with yourself, to think, to plan, to reset your emotions, to connect with your higher standards. Or you can throw the covers over your head and tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. But the people who change their lives, they respond to now. This hour, the one between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., is not for chasing dopamine. It's not for entertainment, distraction, or empty habits. It's for reflection, for self-leadership, for decision-making. Because in the light of day, when everything is coming at you, decisions are harder. But in the dark, when it's just you And your thoughts, you see things differently. You see them clearly. You become the kind of person who doesn't need permission to evolve. You don't wait for a crisis to force you to change. You change because you heard something in the silence. Something real. Something urgent. And you answered it. That's why this hour is sacred. That's why it's reserved for the few who are willing to rise before the sun. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You're not just getting up early, you're stepping into alignment. You're stepping into your future. And if you can learn to honor that time, not with perfection, but with presence, you will begin to unlock a level of clarity, discipline, and self-trust that most people never touch, not because they wouldn't. And now the question becomes, will you? When you wake up between 3 and 5 in the morning, the world is still. No emails, no social media pings, no phone calls, just silence. In this quiet space, your mind is often swirling with thoughts, worries, hopes, and sometimes confusion. The chaos of yesterday and the uncertainty of tomorrow collide in those early hours. But this is exactly why writing at this time is one of the most powerful tools you can use. Writing in those moments isn't about grammar or style. It's about release and clarity. You don't need to produce a masterpiece. You only need to open your heart and hand to the page. Think of it as a conversation with yourself. A place where your mind unloads its burdens and reveals its deepest truths. When your pen touches paper or your fingers hit the keyboard, you begin to transform noise into order. Confusion becomes a plan. Overwhelm becomes manageable steps. Doubts become challenges. Many people underestimate how powerful this simple act can be. The mind is like a cup. If you keep pouring thoughts in without ever pouring anything out, it overflows. Writing helps you empty that cup so you can fill it with what truly matters. It's not a to-do list or a schedule. It's an emotional and mental decluttering that opens space for vision. It's the difference between living reactively and living intentionally. And here's the truth. When you start your day by writing, you set the tone. You tell your subconscious what's important. You reinforce your priorities, your values, your goals. You create a contract with yourself, silently saying, this is who I am. This is what I'm working for. And that contract, it's powerful because it's private and personal. No one else has to see it for it to change you. But writing isn't enough if you don't feed your soul next. After you clear your mind on paper, you must nourish it with something that inspires, educates, or challenges you. That's why reading before the sun rises is a sacred habit. The right reading material can shift your mindset and your energy faster than any caffeine ever could. But here's the catch. This isn't the time for distraction or entertainment. You're not scrolling mindlessly or catching up on the latest viral video. You're feeding your soul. You're planting seeds. Choose books, articles, or passages that elevate you. Choose wisdom over noise. Choose voices that lift you closer to the person you want to become. Reading early in the morning is like watering a seed. You might not see the immediate result, but over time, that small habit grows into something remarkable. A new idea takes root. A perspective shifts. You gain insight into your struggles or your dreams. The words you absorb before dawn become the foundation for your attitude and your actions throughout the day. You think about it, it makes perfect sense. The first thing you feed your mind will shape everything else you do. If you feed it fear, doubt, or negativity, that's what you'll carry with you. But if you feed it hope, wisdom, and courage, Those qualities will shape your day, your decisions, and your relationship. Most people wait for motivation to come during the day after their energy has been spent, but the truly successful, those who move steadily toward their goals, start by intentionally feeding their minds and hearts before the world demands their attention. They understand that the day will try to steal their focus, their peace, and their purpose, so they protect it early on. Writing and reading in those early hours create a powerful cycle. Writing releases what no longer serves you. Reading refuels your spirit with what will. Together, they clear the path and light the way. This combination makes the difference between drifting through life and directing it with clarity and intention. So when you wake between 3 and 5 in the morning, don't rush back to sleep in frustration or boredom. Instead, rise with purpose. Put pen to paper. Empty your mind. Then pick up a book that challenges and uplifts you. Take this time to prepare your inner world for the demands of the day ahead, because how you start your morning sets the tone for everything that follows. When you wake up in those quiet hours between 3 and 5 in the morning, after you've embraced the stillness, cleared your mind through writing, and fed your soul with inspiring words, the next step is simple but profound. Move your body. It's not about pushing yourself to extremes or fitting in a grueling workout. No, this movement is about alignment, bringing your mind, body, and spirit into harmony before the day demands your attention. Most people underestimate the power of physical movement first thing in the morning. They believe rest means stillness, but true rest comes from flow. Movement sends a message to your entire system that you are awake, alert, and ready. It signals to your brain that you respect yourself enough to prepare the vessel that carries your dreams, your actions, your purpose. Stretching, walking, breathing deeply, these simple acts create a powerful rhythm between your internal world and the external demands waiting for you. Your muscles awaken, your heart pumps with intention, and your breath deepens, grounding you in the present moment. When you move with purpose and presence, you're not just exercising, you're tuning your whole being for the challenges and opportunities ahead. This is especially important in those early hours when your mind is sharp but your body may still feel sluggish. Movement bridges the gap. It shakes off the remnants of sleep, yes, but it also shakes off doubt, fear, and hesitation. When your body moves, your mind follows. And when your mind follows, your spirit rises. Think about it. How often do you start your day rushing, overwhelmed, and disconnected from your body? How often do you find yourself fatigued before the morning even ends? Moving early with intention is a way to reclaim your energy before the world tries to drain it. It's a quiet rebellion against chaos. But movement alone is not enough. The way you talk to yourself during this time is just as important, perhaps even more so. Because the words you say in those first moments upon waking have the power to build or break you down. Most people wake up and immediately criticize themselves. I didn't sleep enough. I'm behind. I'm not good enough. Those thoughts set a tone of defeat before the day even begins. But what if you spoke to yourself as if you were your own most loyal friend, your own mentor, your own champion? What if you treated yourself with the kindness, respect, and encouragement you freely give others? Speaking to yourself like someone who matters changes everything. It rewires your brain to believe in your worth, your capacity, your potential. It reminds you that you are not an accident or a mistake, but a force of nature capable of greatness. When you affirm your values, your goals, your strengths early on, you create an internal environment where growth thrives. This isn't empty positivity or blind optimism. It's a deliberate choice to build mental resilience and emotional strength. It's choosing to hold yourself with dignity even when you feel tired or uncertain. It's a daily act of courage, because it's easier to tear ourselves down than to build ourselves up. In those early hours when your mind is most receptive, speak words that empower you. Remind yourself of your standards, the vision you hold for your life, the commitments you've made. Speak with conviction and clarity. Say things like, I am capable of overcoming today's challenges, or I am committed to becoming the best version of myself. These statements anchor you to your purpose and prepare you for the day's battles. By moving your body and speaking to yourself with respect, you create a powerful synergy that sets the foundation for a productive, meaningful day. Your body feels alive, your mind feels focused, and your spirit feels uplifted. This combination of movement and self-talk fuels momentum, the kind that carries you through difficult moments and propels you toward your goals. Imagine waking every day with this ritual. A quiet moment of stillness, the release of your thoughts through writing, the nourishment of your mind with inspiring words, intentional movement that connects body and soul, and affirmations that build your inner fortress. This is not just a routine, it's a declaration. A declaration that you matter, that your dreams matter, and that you are ready to live your life fully. This approach changes your relationship with mornings and, ultimately, with yourself. No longer a victim of circumstance, you become the master of your day. You stop reacting to external pressures and start responding with calm power. You wake up not just to the day, but to your own greatness. Now imagine what your life could become if you chose to honor these early hours, not as a curse or inconvenience, but as a sacred opportunity. Every time you wake between 3 and 5 a.m., you're given a choice: to surrender to frustration and fatigue, or to rise and step into the life you've always imagined. This is your moment to reclaim your power, to rewrite your story, and to lead yourself with courage and clarity. The world may still be asleep, but you are awake, awake to your potential, awake to your purpose, awake to the promise of a new day. So when the darkness comes and your eyes open before dawn, don't turn away. Lean in. Move, write, read. Speak kindly to yourself. Align your body, mind, and spirit, because in those early hours lies the key, not just to success, but to a life of meaning, fulfillment, and true freedom. The question isn't whether you can do this. The question is, will you?